Greetings, Internet, and welcome to another mildly interesting episode of Real Music. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. Joining me today, we have Jon.
Yo.
And Dan.
Hey, wait, is that the name we're going with?
I mean,
Not
it's...
judging, but just saying.
It's what I thought of off the top of my head, so it's what I'm going with. You got a better suggestion? Feel free to suggest it.
Nope. That's why I'm not really judging.
Anyways, today we are going to talk about power metal. This is definitely a bread and butter of both me and Dan. We listen to a stupid amount of it and like a lot of it.
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of really good music in there.
Yeah, so one of the defining features of power metal is, well, I mean, it's by nerds.
Is that really the definition of the genre?
Like, just one of the chords, I think, or something, but...
It's definitely, it's got the... More often than not, it's got the higher pace of, like some of the Judas Priest songs that aren't quite, at speed metal, but, they're still up there.
Mm-hmm.
They're...
Long carrying power chords, I think, is obviously a defining feature.
Yeah, they definitely can be very bombastic and over the top, and if you know me at all, those are some of my favorite things in life.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't tell.
And one of the best examples of this is Blind Guardian. We are drowned in the fifth dimension, the night way. I can feel it's coming, the night way.
Yeah, they are definitely one of the classics, and... I need to look up the name real quick. But the lead singer's voice is really distinctive, too, which is pretty cool.
And, they found both ways in studio and out of studio to, have him harmonize with himself, and they do so many...
Kurz, that's what I thought it was.
They do so many songs about obscure, 19th century literature, and it kind of makes you just want to go on a reading spree.
It's also the usual amount of Lord of the Rings songs for a power metal band.
Yeah, they've done at least one full concept album about Lord of the Rings.
Excellent.
Yeah.
They have, I don't know how many songs that are about Game of Thrones before it got popular.
Nice.
I know they've done, Peter Pan, some now really obscure books about what cyberspace might be like.
There you go. I like
All
that.
sorts of just really deep cuts, but it's not impenetrable like some bands can be.
I think I'll talk about Alestorm. Personally, I really enjoy that band. They got kind of that little bit of a folky kind of sound to them with some of the different instruments that they use and wide variety in that. So you get a lot of really cool tones in the sound as well for the music and different layers, which I really appreciate. And then just the sheer hilarity of their topics for the music that they sing about are fantastic. I mean, I think as far as they're concerned, they would like to be qualified as pirate metal, but...
Yeah. They've definitely got a strong folk element, but I definitely lean more towards calling them a power metal band.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Which,
So, I'm not a stickler for...
I wish I could do a better pirate accent.
Yar.
I'm not a stickler for genres, and the only reason that I made the...
Yeah, I just know when I hear it.
Yeah. The only reason I made the mildest argument that they should be classified as power metal is that folk metal traditionally either A, they play the instrument that you hear, and let's face it, Alestorm uses a keytar.
Yep.
and or B, they
It's their theme anyway.
they use a traditional folky song or riff or something from folk, and they just set keytars to accordion.
Which is amazing.
Which there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, and I love it. It's just the only reason I'd argue they belong here and not on next week's episode.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yep.
And plus, they like to sing about drinking, which is one of my favorite hobbies, so, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, they're just fun.
Mm-hmm.
Other bands that like to sing about pirates tend to try to be as serious as they can.
I know at least one of them is a song about masturbation, so let's not say they're too serious.
I said some. But, you know, it's like don't get me wrong, make things look serious, make things at least sound like you seriously care about it, but never take yourself too seriously.
I'd also like to note the singer's commitment to his singing style for the band is fantastic. It really, really pulls everything through and makes it come together.
I will point out, he has famously said, "This isn't a fucking pirate accent! It's a goddamn Scottish accent!"
It works.
Yeah, but they were Scottish pirates, so it fits.
I mean, the stereotype of the pirate accent did come from a Scottish actor, so, you know.
I thought it was Cornish.
It might have. I don't know exactly. Foreign actor used different accent.
Yeah.
Like how we all associate Bela Lugosi with Dracula.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When he just used his
Well,
native...
at least Hungarian, so it does kind of fit for Transylvania.
But he was just using his native accent, and everyone caught on, oh, that's a vampire accent.
Blah.
Yes, he was also into black metal before it was a thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
I guess Transylvania has higher Vlach or Romanian population, even when Hungary controlled it, though, so...
Yeah.
Oh, the...
So the Hungarian accent isn't quite appropriate.
The tangents we can acquire.
Yeah, right.
Well, since we went into Alestorm, why don't we go into another project by at least most of the band, Gloryhammer.
Yes.
Hell yeah!
Taking the ridiculous to a whole new level, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Words cannot describe how gloriously cheesy this band is. I mean, they let the guy who doesn't speak English do the lyrics. So you get like, epic war is fight. Now no more peace will survive.
And also part of the point was to have him hilariously mispronouncing all the Scottish words.
Yes. I love how this band wanted to do fantasy, but they didn't want to come up with a whole bunch of towns. So they're like, well, we're from here in Scotland, so let's just name everything after everything near us.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, some of those names do sound pretty fantasy. I mean, has anyone here truly heard of, and sorry if I can't pronounce this correctly, Ach and Munkti?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
If you pronounce it correctly, they're Scots.
Even if you pronounce it correctly, people will tell you you pronounced it incorrectly.
Yep. They're better than the English, so I'll give them that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is pure cheese, pure fun. At the very least, listen through their second album all the way through. Like, everything they do is a concept album and everything flows into each other, but Space 1992, Rise of the Chaos Wizards is just... If you can't smile and laugh at the name of the album, you're dead inside.
Oh yeah, it's a reference to the
I
old, like...
definitely had a good long chuckle at In the Distant Future of the Year 1992.
Yeah.
And, you know...
An album released in, what was it, 2015?
Yeah.
Yeah,
2014?
And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the problem with bands that use comedy is, okay, I heard the joke once and it's no longer funny. This still makes me laugh and chuckle.
Yeah.
So they're doing something right.
And I really love when bands flush out like a lore for like the fictional characters that the band members represent and like the story of the album and all that stuff. And
it's
that's a lot of
stupidly
fun.
deep, and I've considered running game campaigns in the universe just with how much lore there can be to it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that's always a fun aspect because there's more to it than just the music to get involved with and be a fan of, which is a really good quality for artists, I think.
So I'm going to choose something a little obscure now. Orion's Reign. They're definitely borderline symphonic. I mean, I know no one else here has listened to them, but it's just fun. Like, yeah, they've got that power ballad that I will automatically skip, which makes the album feel way shorter.
How many power metal bands don't do power ballads every album?
At least, some of them are tolerable, some of them aren't, and unfortunately their ballads fall into the intolerable for me.
Okay.
But, you know, that's also I could go my whole life without ever hearing another power ballad and consider it a good life.
What's particularly bad about that one?
It just got drags on.
Yeah.
There's nothing more mildly irritating than a song that doesn't know when to quit.
So, a power ballad?
Especially when it's not doing anything for you.
Yeah.
But, you know, they definitely have some of those upbeat, or not upbeat, but those high tempo, like, yeah, I want to go on a quest and fight a beast and probably get killed because that's what they don't mention about these things.
Well, yeah, obviously, but that's, part of the fantasy, is what makes it fun. Let's see here. Probably my favorite band on this list out of all these would be Sabaton. I absolutely love that band. Especially because they take a fun twist with at least, the nerd aspect of it, but being nerdy about history. And I love how they go into detail and do, kind of like recountings of different battles, but in a very dramatic sense with the lyrics and talking about, the feelings surrounding the situation, but also getting into like the details and facts and everything. Like you could probably use it to help you remember some dates when you're trying to study for a test.
Yeah,
Let's not overstate things too much.
It's interesting because they try to be neutral and just tell a story as it happened, which,
but the Verbu community does seem to latch onto a few of their songs.
Yeah, unfortunately, they'll sing about Germans or Americans or Austro-Hungarians or anyone who fought in World War II. And unfortunately, if you do a song about Germans, everyone immediately goes...
Like the Battle of Castle Itter, which is...
Everyone immediately goes, oh, they sang about Germans, they must be Nazis.
No. But yeah, people will make that assumption.
They're not, but some of the fan base is uncomfortably close.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean...
Oh, no probably about it. I've definitely encountered it.
Oh, jeez.
The solution is blasting Prima Victoria at them, by the way.
Also, yes.
I do appreciate that, like, they've sung about the German army evacuating citizens from Berlin when being besieged by Russians.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that was a selfless act on the side of the military.
They also do some like older historical battles as well, not just World War II.
Oh yeah, it's they try not to go.
Would do more pre-modern stuff.
Yeah,
Most of what they've got is early modern or later.
yeah. I know they did like that one song about the Lion of Sweden or something like that.
Another character
An
that
entire album on
Yeah.
the Swedish Empire.
Yep, exactly.
a historical person that for some reason white supremacists try to claim, despite him being super, like multicultural and accepting of everyone, and it's really unfortunate that they pick a
They try to
subject.
claim every person who happened to be white and also did impressive things because they haven't done anything impressive, but they think they can get that by proxy.
Yeah. So there is no controversy around this band. There is controversy around a subsection of their fan base.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. But again, I just wish they would do some more let's say pre-16th century stuff.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Thermopylae is kind of overplayed.
Mm-hmm.
Thermopylae. There were more than 300 soldiers there.
Also, yes.
There was 10 times that.
Mm-hmm.
The Spartans contributed virtually nothing to that fight.
Usually. But, that was
Did
typical
provide
Spartan.
Pretty good heavy infantry, and that's important in a tight confine like that.
Yeah, but point is, there were 3,000 soldiers, not 300.
Yeah, but that's, the Roman propaganda. Or not Roman,
Not
sorry,
Roman.
Greek. My bad.
It was,
It was Greek propaganda.
Slip
Or-
of the tongue
And
there.
more like modern Greek than
it was
classical.
Spartan propaganda, and then the Romans caught on to that and went, yeah, we're taking that.
Yeah, they did imitate that to an extent.
The modern narrative of the Battle of Thermopylae is really more a modern thing. It comes in, I think, with the Victorian period when they were going all in on a kind of almost fetishized version of classical history.
Yeah.
And there is definitely a bit of a race element in it.
Oh, of course. There always
Kind
is.
of hard to deny that.
Yeah.
With the traditional narrative.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, the problem is that it's a Eurocentric, particularly Greek-centric view of the history and ignoring everyone else.
Yep.
Also known as
Yep.
white people took it. I don't know how much of this we're keeping, but...
Victorians. I guess
Oh, yeah, it
these
is.
two as the same recommendation. Helion Prime and Grave Shadow. Helion Prime's kind of they've gone through a lot of vocalists, and that's kind of a warning sign to me, but they do have a few good albums. Their first album is really good, and their more recent two are still good enough. Kind of science theme and science fiction themed power metal, so I do always like that. And the second band is Grave Shadow, which was started up, which their first vocalist is the singer for, and I do really like her as a vocalist. She's got a lot of range. She can do a really good growl too, which she did not do with Helion Prime, and that's just kind of neat.
Nice.
I always feel bad about Helion Prime because I sit there and listen to them and go, oh my god, this is so good, why don't I listen to it more? And then I forget about them. And then I find them again and I listen to them and go, oh my god, this is so good, why don't I listen to it more? And it's a vicious cycle. But, yeah, no, I mean, they did an entire song titled Life Will Find a Way.
Is that based off Jurassic Park?
Based off a Jurassic Park quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But, yeah, no, it's...
If only could get Jeff Goldblum to cameo on the song.
If only.
I'd listen to that.
Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy my fantasy, but as an American, give me sci-fi.
Speak for yourself. I like them both.
Oh, I like them both. I tend to lean towards sci-fi.
They also blend together pretty well, though, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like 40K and Star Wars. Two big so-called sci-fi properties that really work more like fantasy settings.
Yep.
Yeah. Shadowrun's another example.
All right. Next on my list, Evertale.
Brothers, they shall burn. For each of us 1,000 die. We may not stare. We fire from the sky. Brothers, let them burn. For each of us 10,000 die. Right upon the fury of their soul. By little, we are cleaning the sword.
So their first album, I mean, it's generic power metal. Nothing wrong with that, and I do enjoy my generic power metal, but their second album is a borderline concept album about Warhammer.
Which is an excellent choice.
Yeah, like, there are not enough bands that sing about Warhammer, which is weird because, you know, grimdark, ultra-violent, you'd think it would go together like puppies and fire ants.
Well, GW is pretty protective of their IP.
Also,
Yeah.
yes. That's a big deal. You gotta be subtle about it.
They've gotten a bit of a sense of humor about it in the past few years, but...
They always want them royalties.
I mean, you get screwed over once, you don't let anyone screw you over again.
Until you intentionally screw yourself over with Relic and THQ.
with their entire period of the early 2010s.
Yeah, right.
But, hey, it's fun to listen to, and especially just liking Warhammer lore. Like, at the time of recording, I'm going through some of the Horus Heresy books, so, you know, I'm just in that, like, yeah, burn Prospero! Magnus deserved it.
Magnus did nothing wrong.
Magnus did everything wrong. You give him a binary choice and he will somehow mess it up. You can tell him there's no wrong answers and he'll find the wrong answer.
Hey, that's a talent.
Yeah, generally the talent is, well, I made a deal with a demon.
Can't see any way this will
Yeah,
possibly go wrong.
Everyone, in the moment you start talking to demons, everybody flips out. Kind of interested to see this one on the list, as I do like the band. Von Canto. That's the acapella group, right? Yeah, metal acapella. Now that's a beautiful match made in heaven. Or hell, I guess. I absolutely love that. That sounds so fantastic.
Yeah, like, I know a lot of people that don't care for this, but they respect the hell out of it.
Oh, big time.
They're on the weird side of the fence, and that's definitely kind of my thing.
Yep, same here.
The only problem I've got with them is the lead singer left the band, and
That's always a
Yeah, the
bummer.
replacement wasn't as good.
I hate to go like, oh, they changed the singer, I'm not going to listen to them, and so I tried my best. I quit partway through most songs with their current singer.
Yeah.
Like, the songs were bad, there was nothing inspired after that, but I'm trying not to be negative, so go listen to their, like...
Original stuff.
Yeah, like their first 2-3 albums, and at the very least, you're going to have a blast, and you'll have heard Metallica as a cappella.
Which is always fantastic to hear.
Yep. Next, they're one of the bigger names in Swedish power metal without being as much of a touring force as, say, Hammerfall. They're kind of more on the folk side in some respects, or at least they verge on it, but they don't really use much in the way of folk instrumentation, so they're definitely in the power metal camp. Honestly, I can't say there isn't that much special to say about them, other than that they're a pretty good representation of classic style power metal.
Okay, so it's like a good introduction into the genre as a whole.
Yeah, I'd say so.
My only problem, and it's not with the band itself, it's whenever they end up on a playlist, the playlist overplays them.
Oh, really?
And I don't know why, and it's like hey, I like the song, I never want to hear it again. Because for some reason, a playlist somehow found a way to make it the third song every time in.
Oh, it just fits into the algorithm that perfectly, huh?
Yeah, and I mean...
I guess that's a good quality. If you...
Yeah, it just managed to get themselves overplayed for me, and I hate it when that happens, because then I don't want to listen to something even if it's good.
Yeah. Well, that's usually a good sign that it is good.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring up something I forgot to put on my list.
Okay.
Rumahoy.
Sailing on the ocean, sailing on the sea, sailing on a ship is the life for me. Sailing on the ocean, sailing on the sea, sailing on a ship is the life for me. Yo, ho, yo, ho, yo, ho. That's just my pirate ship. Yo, ho, yo, ho, yo, ho. That's just my pirate ship.
Sounds piratey.
Good for Harambe.
So, much like Alestorm, they sing about pirates.
Hell yeah.
Not at all serious.
They are not at all serious. Like, Alestorm started a little serious and, shot that in the face after their, second album. They definitely work with Alestorm. Like, they have a fake rivalry with Alestorm, but they definitely work together and have collaborated.
Be great, tour partners.
Oh yeah, they've toured together. They act like they hate each other, but...
That's a good bit.
Rumahoy's guested on an Alestorm song.
Nice.
But yeah, a lot of people claim that, they both, help each other write songs. I don't know how true that is, but I kind of hope...
They do.
I imagine they share ideas, at least.
I hope it's true, just for the sake of, creativity and...
Collaboration.
Also,
they're a different brand of ridiculous than Alestorm. They did a song about Harambe in 2019.
Hell yeah.
But they both fill their niche.
Yeah, and I also just hate fake rivalries when it's like these aren't competing.
Yeah, but you watch wrestling.
Aren't you a pro wrestling fan?
I can like both wrestlers.
Yeah, you can like both bands too. That's the point.
Yeah. There's just, that stupid thing that people do where oh, these are somewhat similar. They must be competing. Pick a side. We're at war.
Nah. That's more the fan base being
yeah,
a problem
no, it's
for you.
like both, like what you like. Stop making a big deal about it and have fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
If they tour together, it's pretty clear they like each other.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays with how the touring works.
Or they go and write a song about how much they hate each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. They should do that. They should do a joint song together about that. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
I don't know a terrible lot about this band, but there is, one particular song that got me into them that I'd like to bring up that's really funny. Windrose. I'm sure you guys can tell me more about some of their other work. But,
They're focused power metal themed around Tolkien's dwarves and
Yes.
fantasy dwarves in general.
Yes.
Yeah,
And my favorite part about them is my first introduction to them was them doing a cover of the Diggy Diggy Holes.
I mean, I know I'd sent you stuff by them before, so you probably didn't remember it, but...
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I think my first exposure to them was actually when I was still seeing ads on YouTube before I finally just gave up and got an ad blocker.
yeah.
No way. I think it was on my phone when that played, so that's why I didn't have an ad blocker on. That makes sense.
Yeah, so, like, their second album was definitely, like, leaning on we're singing about the dwarves on their way to Erebor. It wasn't quite a concept album. And then their third album, they just went full in on we are full-grown men who are pretending to be dwarves.
Hell yes.
And that's great, and I love it. And they did a cover of Diggy Diggy Hole, which I'm sure you've probably heard in a vacuum, and their other stuff's good.
Yeah, they sound great. They have. I love the costumes and the display. They'd probably be really fun to watch live.
If only we could see bands live.
It'll never happen again, will it?
It better.
It'll be years.
Like we're ever gonna get out of COVID.
We'll see. All right, what you got next?
Well, go to one of the OG power metal bands with Hammerfall.
There you go.
Pretty defining example of European style power metal. As I understand it, still one of the bigger bands on the Swedish scene in general.
Nice.
Not just in the metal scene, but just on the charts there.
Yeah, I've heard a few of their stuff a while back.
You know, one of my favorite things...
Their more recent albums are probably their weaker ones, but they do have some really good stuff.
Okay.
I just listen to it so much that I don't listen to it anymore very often.
Yeah.
They've definitely been a staple of my playlists for a good 10 years now. And I like the story I heard of how they got together is basically they went, hey, bands aren't playing music we like. We should start a band.
That's always the best way to do that.
Yeah. And, you know, that was definitely after a collapse in the music scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like around when grunge was picking up, so a lot of the older stuff kind of was becoming unpopular and
oversaturated and uncreative.
It was already oversaturated, so they kind of rose in the ashes, and the world's better for it.
Yep, I agree.
Next on my list is Brothers of Metal. It is definitely on that fence of being almost folky, but I'd argue it's in the power side of things. They go all in. They sing about, you know, Norse mythology.
There you go.
They have a woman lead singer, which is relatively uncommon, and even more uncommon when you sing about Norse mythology in general.
And when you have the title Brothers in your band name. Nice.
But, you know, they're fun, you know, like, I mean, they call Jormungandr the Power Snake.
Excellent.
Like, they sing a song about Loki where one of the male singers is just insulting him the whole time. You know, like, he just goes, Loki, my brother, no sex appeal. You know, like, fun little jabs that you could imagine Thor making at his uncle.
Mm-hmm.
He is not.
If your sex appeal doesn't really work, just tell that to the horse.
But yeah, no, it's, as I always hammer home, it's fun. Have fun, people.
When I first saw that name, I almost got my hopes up that it was a Super Mario Brothers metal band.
I mean,
that'd be a fun idea.
that would be a lot better than the rap about Mario stuff that exists.
Hey, don't make fun of Ego Raptor. Hey, I like Starbomb. Screw you.
No, I mean the full-on, we try to sound like gangsta rap, but we sing about 8-bit video game stuff.
Oh, I don't know who that is
You
then.
see that being really cool.
I mean, yeah, that's what Starbomb does. That's fantastic.
Hard to pull off, but if you can.
Yep. I mean, I have listened to a bit of Manowar. I really like their kind of sound. They seem a little more slower paced than a lot of these other bands on the list, I'll say, with some of their music, or at least some of the more popular stuff that I've heard.
We talked a lot about European power metal bands, but Hammerfall is pretty much the defining American style power metal band, which is its own.
You mean Manowar?
Section. Yes, Manowar.
There you go.
So let me just start again for the edit.
Sure.
Manowar is pretty much one of the defining bands of the American power metal style, which is kind of a sort of separate thing from European power metal as I understand it, but at least was back in the 90s.
Yeah, you can definitely tell with the way they carry out the chords and the notes a lot more. It's got that long, almost kind of like screaming into the night kind of sound to it, which I really like. And it's got some fun, how do I put it? Just the harmonies in there with how that all goes together.
They are almost an example of power metal. Like, they've definitely influenced a lot of the tropes. They've been influenced by a lot of the tropes. And at the very least, the album covers are a treat.
Yeah, they kind of remind me of Iron
Distilled
Maiden.
Frank Frazetta, and it's amazing.
Yeah, like, they always portray themselves as having, pecs on their abs, and like the sheer muscle with it rarely dressed woman clinging to their legs, and
Conan the Barbarian-esque.
Yeah, which, by the way, is really fun if you can get someone to agree to go in that pose with you and just randomly stand there in places doing those poses.
Nice.
I'm going to go with Dreamspirit next. They're kind of an unusual example for power metal just because it's sometimes kind of hard to see because it's sometimes kind of hard to find the non-English speaking bands. For example, I know there's a strong Japanese scene, and I've just never really had a chance to get into it. But Dreamspirit is a Chinese band, actually
Nice.
Chinese, not how a lot of articles talking about Chinese metal are going to list a bunch of Inner Mongolian bands.
Yeah.
Or the members are originally from China but moved to America at a young age.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of symphonic and folk elements, but personally I think they mostly land on the power metal side. Really, there's not much to say other than give them a look.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I like that. I always It's always fun to hear like the cultural influences when they're trying to fit into a genre and how they add and take different things away or put them in to put their own spin on it, which makes it a fun new experience, and you get to kind of learn a little bit along the way as well, which is always a fun thing.
Also,
I kind of get a strong Three Kingdoms vibe from them, even though I don't speak enough Chinese to actually catch anything.
and power metal is definitely the greatest victim of English is the language of metal, because so many of these bands don't speak English as their native language, but
with the Scandinavians, English is most closely related to the Scandinavian languages, so.
Yeah, so a lot of them switch to English slightly for, more appeal, but I'm always happy to hear something that's not English, and, because why would I be so self-centered to assume everyone needs to speak my language?
Exactly. Oh, and also...
the voice is just another instrument. The actual words aren't really the important thing in music.
Yeah. Well, and it's fun, too, because when you get the translations and stuff... When you get the translations and stuff, you can kind of hear the tone in their voice and how that changes the feel of what they're trying to say as well, because, different languages will put inflection on words, very differently, and that makes for a fun new experience emotionally as well if you get invested in if it's, a serious band. I don't know if this one is in particular. Haven't looked them up yet.
Serious?
Huh?
They sound serious.
Okay, well, that's good.
I can't say much.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me, isn't there like that? I think that would be in the folk genre though. Wasn't there that like kabuki band? Was that like a folk metal band? The Japanese one?
Oh yeah, Whispered.
Yeah.
They're definitely mellow death with elements of folk.
Okay, yeah. We'll maybe talk about them
Finnish band
in another video.
In Japanese?
They're Finnish singing about Japanese stuff, and they do use some of the traditional instruments.
Nice.
So
yeah, definitely gonna need a pension.
We'll have a field day trying to talk about that one when we get to it.
Yeah.
So next on my list is another thing I forgot to put on the list: Rhapsody of Fire.
Okay.
They are over the top, like guitar solos, the definition of we didn't think about the lyrics, or we just put the lyrics into English and good enough, and there's always an infamous...
She's saying they just Google translated it?
Probably. There's
a fun theme for a band.
Isn't that just Gloryhammer?
The West everything?
Oh my god, yes. Please, someone do that.
We should start a band. But there's an infamous thing of the lead singer just in the middle of a song just crying, "Unholy war cry," and that just gets parodied to the point of absurdity. I remember another band we'll probably talk about, Manowar of Steel. They do the exact same thing, but they go, "Unholy Warcraft."
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that they were legitimately talking about World of Warcraft and mocking Rhapsody of Fire at the same time. And
that's fantastic.
The good-spirited mocking. Not not the unpleasant kind.
And
exactly.
Rhapsody of Fire is one of those bands that I've liked when I've heard their stuff, but I don't know why. I've just always mentally categorized them with, say, Dragon Force.
I mean...
Which is probably not fair, but...
Dragon Force is the McDonald's of
speed metal.
Metal. It's fast, cheap, and you want something better afterwards.
Yeah.
Not to... Like, don't get me wrong, I listened to a lot of Dragon Force when I was a teenager. I wouldn't say I regret it, but I would not recommend it.
Yeah, they kind of ruined it for me when I went to one of their live shows, and then I realized that they're really bad live.
they
That's
hired
been a running joke.
people to tune their instruments, and they hired people that would prefer to drink before or rather than tuning their instruments. So once they got rid of, so it was real hit or miss on whether or not they were good, and once they got new people in, they were consistent.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are always inconsistent, and somehow Rhapsody of Fire turned to talking about Dragon Force.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard not to compare the two.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I mentally do. I just haven't been able to shake that impression for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's fair to Rhapsody of Fire at all. Another one which sometimes goes more into power metal and on some albums is less power metal is Unleash the Archers. Their most recent two albums are definitely in the power metal camp,
Okay.
but they do a lot of genre blending as well.
Yeah.
It's another case where I just happen to really like the lead singer and
Oh, you've got an amazing
range
voice.
what she can do with her voice. So that's always a plus for me with bands. The more you can do, the better.
I would agree. I'm in that camp.
And there have definitely been songs that they've done where I just think that some of the musicians are showing off, and that's, again, a point in their favor.
Yeah. I mean, if you got it, might as well.
Yeah, I definitely have that problem of, for every song I hear by them I hear two that I don't.
Yeah.
And so, like...
Yeah.
But, you know, hey, I'm always glad to hear a woman singing, especially in metal. It's more rare than it should be, and especially power metal is a total sausage fest.
Yeah.
Well, if anything, the thing that's rare and that should be is women in other roles in the band. With vocalists, I don't say that there's a novelty factor which makes it more likely.
Yeah, which I don't really like
Which
that's
isn't
the
fair-
reason
which
why
isn't fair to
people
say,
will
because
give
a
it
lot
a
of the
shot.
women who are in metal are really good singers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to diminish their talents at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I understand that, but that is kind of the gimmick for it, you know, female fronted as a genre. Why?
Yeah.
So hopefully the final thing that I forgot to put on this, or on my initial list, Yngwie Malmsteen.
Mm-hmm.
Also, good luck spelling that name.
I know that'll be in the description then.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm going to have every band in the description just because I hate it when people don't do that. But
Accurate.
Yngwie is definitely that neoclassical. You know, like everything he does sounds like it should be, you know, done with an orchestra, kind of bombastic, over the top in the best way.
Nice.
He has a pseudo feud with the keyboard player, so you know he shreds guitar while the keyboard player looks bored, and then the keyboard player goes and, you know, does an intricate solo while Yngwie's like, "Hurry it up, man! I want to play." And you know that kind of fuels it, and at least he's got a sense of humor over his drunken rages.
Grailknights is a band which I'm kind of on the fence about actually recommending. I like them, but they're also kind of in that generic phase. But one advantage that they have is, again, they're a band that doesn't take itself seriously at all, especially if you look at their music videos.
In general, they dress like fucking Power Rangers.
That sounds
and it's
fantastic.
great.
And
So I
they're...
guess I don't recommend them as much for the music as for the videos and their sense of humor in it.
They're definitely
It's always a good bonus,
on
though.
the track to be that, like, Gloryhammer level cheese. They just haven't quite hit it, but they're closing in on it, much like a band called, I believe it's Victorious, where for every two, really good, cheesy, stupid, over-the-top songs, they have one kind of dullish, generic power metal songs. And, it's like hey, those are fun, keep an eye on them, they're going to do something good soon.
Yeah.
Alright, and the, I believe final thing on my list, I'm going to do both a shout-out to Demons and Wizards and Iced Earth. Demons and Wizards is a compilation band of the guitarist from Iced Earth and the singer from Blind Guardian.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Iced Earth has gone through tons of singers, but they're definitely the, I guess, quintessential American power metal. It's it's a lot more methodical. I don't want to say grinding, but like, they're also huge nerds who read tons of books, and it's great to hear John Schaefer and Hansi just, like, sit around talking about books, because they get into that, like, wait, you haven't read this? Oh my god, you need to sit down, and, like, Hansi's, like, trying to call his wife to bring over a copy of a book so that he can give it to John before he leaves, that sort of, like, friendship. And
that always makes it fun when you get a little more, behind the scenes with the band members like that and see their personalities.
And, the fun thing about Hansi is that, you just throw him into any band and he makes it almost magical.
Well, that's a good quality.
Yeah.
Means he'll always have a future. You can just follow the artist. He doesn't necessarily have to follow whatever band he's in.
And as I mentioned earlier, he's got a really distinctive voice, and with how long he's been in power metal, that just, I don't know, it does add a little extra something when he guest stars in a song.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But definitely Iced Earth. It's hard to recommend anything by them because they have so many eras and have changed things that it's like, kind of look up singers and just kind of, go from there and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let us know what you think. Is there anything that we probably should have talked about? Was anything on this list something you didn't know about? Let us know in the comments or let me know at work. I'll probably see you tomorrow.
All right.
As always, have a good one and enjoy what you like.
Well, I mean, yeah.